Hello and welcome to Steelers Today. He's Dale Lawley. I'm Dejan Kovacevic, both of DK Pittsburgh Sports. And before we get into any sort of intricate analysis on Steelers training camp day, we don't know. We still
August
don't.
17th.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It was the day that Ben Roethlisberger and Eric Ebron helped Chase Claypool off the field when he got hurt. Let's start with that.
Yeah, it was the second to last play of practice. They were kind of simulating a weekday Wednesday practice as they get ready for their third preseason game. And so Dwayne Haskins was in running the scout team and threw a pass down the sideline. The Chase Claypool reached above his head to catch. Looks like I couldn't tell if he landed on that right leg awkwardly or if he hurt it when he went to the ground because he had that hip issue, if you remember back from the first preseason game up at the Hall of Fame game. But he stayed down on the ground, and immediately there were a couple of team doctors that just happened to be there. They went down to check on him. Ben Roethlisberger hustled down there to check on him, which kind of shows you how important he is to the team. And he was down for a good minute before he finally got up, and as you mentioned, was helped off the field straight to the locker room by Ben Roethlisberger and Eric Ebron.
Yeah, and early indications are that it's not super serious, and also we're still 3 weeks away from anybody doing anything meaningful in a Steelers uniform in Orchard Park. So if you're going to get hurt, Dale, this is when to get hurt.
Well, it's kind of ironic, Dale, because I happened to see on Facebook today that last year on this day was the first day of training camp practices here at Heinz Field.
Oh, yeah.
August 17th.
Yeah.
I saw a picture that I'd taken of my laptop with my name above it. And that was the day that Chase Claypool, the first time he had practiced with the team, and you started seeing his name pop up on those practice reports that we did on a very consistent basis. So, he's kind of continued that along that trajectory. They need him on the field.
Well, that's the thing that, whenever... I mean, this is true in life, too. You don't appreciate something until it's either not there or you think it might not be there. And I got to tell you, one of my first thoughts about when Claypool goes down is, what does he actually mean to the offense? Because on one hand, you can make an argument, well, if you're going to get hurt at any position on this football team, the wide receiver would be where? Because, well, what happens? Well, James Washington comes onto the field. You still have three really good NFL wide receivers out there and a couple of tight ends who can catch the ball as well. But Claypool is something different. And Claypool has that year two capability of breaking through that Mike Tomlin loves to talk about, only he's really got it. There's another ceiling for this kid.
Yeah, as I wrote about a couple of weeks ago, if he takes that DK Metcalf-like step in year two, the same one that Metcalf took, their numbers from their rookie year were almost identical. If you look at the combine numbers, they're pretty damn close as well. He could take that kind of step, and so you'd hate to see that kind of taken away from this offense. As he mentioned, I talked to him earlier in training camp. As the season wore on last year, you started to see more teams start to roll that safety over the top of Claypool because they knew.
Oh yeah.
Looking at that 5'10" cornerback, or out there with that 6'4", 240-pound guy, that's a mismatch.
Yeah, you might beat us, but you're not going to beat us over the top. Is the way that teams started attacking the Steelers. Well, and then they started doing things where they sent everybody to the line of scrimmage, but that's kind of a separate issue here. You are going to need Ben Roethlisberger and this offense to occasionally take that top off. You just are.
The guy scored 11 touchdowns last year as a rookie. He tied
lots of different ways too. Runs, ends,
catches, fades, all that stuff. You've seen them practice a lot in this training camp. That quick fade to Claypool, it's unstoppable.
Well, we saw Haskins do it a couple days ago, where it was just the ball was put into a place that only 11 could get it.
Only the 6'4" guy could go.
Yeah, and that was something that, for those of you who go back will recall that Ben used to do with Plexico Burress, and Ben, they were pretty good at it. The old unstoppable fade to Plex.
Except Burress wasn't very good at it.
But he was still 6'5". He was still.
I always question. Everybody would always say, "Oh, that shows his basketball background." As somebody with a basketball background, I didn't think he high pointed the ball very well. Claypool does.
Claypool is really, really good at it, and if the Steelers are fortunate, he'll be just fine. Don't worry about him missing an exhibition game against Detroit. When we come back, Dale had a pretty interesting question for Matt Canada, and you'll want to hear the answer. Welcome back. Dale, you had a rather pointed question for the new offensive coordinator today. And, well, before we talk about it, here it is.
Matt, are you liking what you see out of your backup quarterbacks right now?
Yeah, I am. I think everybody's doing it. All three of them are doing a good job right now. Mason's doing a good job. Obviously, we've stalled a little bit with some self-inflicted wounds. Both times he's been out there. I'm talking about Mason, obviously, with a ball on the ground or this play here, a couple penalties. But I think if you measure the whole deal, he's doing a pretty good job. Dwayne's done a pretty good job. Josh had a very, very productive first outing, and obviously he had to slip up there last week. But all three have done a good job. Yeah, they're all pros. Everybody's got that stuff down. And we're executing at a high level. And obviously we're trying to build every day a little bit more here and there, and just now it's just our players making plays. And our job as a staff is to put them in a position to make plays and then let them go play.
So it sure sounds like Matt Canada understands what the quarterback hierarchy is, accepts what the quarterback hierarchy is, might even prefer what the quarterback hierarchy is. What is it, and why does he feel that way?
Well, today in practice, again, as I mentioned in the first segment, they were working on a Wednesday schedule.
Yes.
So that meant that there was a pecking order at quarterback, a very distinct one. Ben Roethlisberger took the first snaps, Mason Rudolph took the second snaps, and then Dwayne Haskins took the third snaps. Josh Dobbs did not take any snaps. No snaps at all.
Any snaps
at all at quarterback during this practice. And I asked Matt Canada, is that the preferred pecking order or are you happy with that pecking order? Something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that he mentioned that they feel comfortable with their quarterbacks in that order.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, is that what you feel comfortable with? And he said,
no.
Hey, that's what we have right now. At the same time, there are 3 more weeks before we have to line up and play a game. But let's face it. They've got a preseason game.
This is the preseason game.
Yeah.
And that's probably
going
the point.
To be the order.
That's probably the point that really needs to get made more than anything else. Now, without regurgitating the whole number 2 quarterback debate and everything else here, let's just isolate on why that might be the preferred case. Not necessarily making the case for one or the other here, but why would Matt Canada want Mason Rudolph as his number 2?
He's been with him longer.
Yes.
Mason Rudolph has more of a rapport with the receivers on this team. He's been with Juju now going into 4 years.
That's fair.
He's been with Dwayne Washington longer than that.
James Washington,
Dwayne Washington, the different cornerback.
Dwayne Washington would have been covering him.
He's played a full season with Deontay Johnson as the starting quarterback.
That's correct.
And he's been with Chase Claypool. You even saw video of Rudolph and Claypool in the offseason before OTAs or any of that thing started, working out on their own together.
And to understand, you might think, well, what does this matter? It does a lot. There is an understanding that happens between quarterbacks and wide receivers, not just in the NFL, but at all levels of football. There's a reason that they value every chance that they get to be on a field together. Now, Haskins has also worked with these guys, obviously not as much and definitely not in training camp. And that's one of the things that we've been talking about a lot, is that there is a value to working with the ones. It is it's not just a feather in your cap or a yay you, it's that you're out there with those guys.
Absolutely. You talk about it with the offensive line, working together or whatever it may be. As I mentioned, Ben Roethlisberger was out there with the ones today. We'll see him start this game this week and play probably around the quarter. I thought today was maybe his sharpest day of this training.
Yeah, he dropped some in there.
He started to ramp it up a little bit here. He hit a long pass to Juju down the seam. Had a nice pass to Eric Ebron. That was an arm throw, again, an arm strength throw. And then had another one to Claypool before he got hurt. That was, again, an arm strength throw rolling to his right and kind of throwing on the run to a 20-yard out. The people who are questioning his arm strength.
No, that's silly. Yeah, although I shouldn't say it's silly, because let's also acknowledge here, as it pertains to Ben, that he himself has said that he wasn't himself with his arm last year, especially early.
To me, it was more a lack of touch as opposed to a lack of arm strength. I think that's one of the last things that come back, when you have a surgery like that. And he'll never say that, maybe I couldn't feel the 2 outside fingers or something like that. They cut into his elbow.
Yeah, he sure hinted at it, though.
Tendons.
Yeah, he sure hinted at it.
Yeah.
And then he also acknowledged as the season went on, but that he got tired, but that early on, you're right, the number one issue with Ben was touch. He missed passes, overthrowing guys in particular, that we had never seen him miss in his first 16 years in the league.
Right. So all the talk about the backup quarterback and who's that going to be doesn't matter if Seven's
The Terminator has just sealed this discussion once and for all. The quarterback hierarchy is Ben Roethlisberger, Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins, and Josh Dobbs with no snaps at all.
Maybe he goes to the practice squad this year. We'll see. They got 16 guys that they can keep him around.
He might. He also might get work somewhere else. There's always somebody that's going to find value for a Josh Dobbs. Thanks so much for watching this. We'll have another one of these for you tomorrow.